House Speaker Mike Johnson said everyone needs to, quote, turn down the rhetoric. What rhetoric is he talking about? What rhetoric caused the shooting? Calling people, he said, Nazis and fascists. He said calling people Nazis and fascists, quote, can spur deranged people to action. In a free and open society, when politicians are fascists and Nazi adjacent, we should be able to call people what they are without worrying about inciting violence. The problem isn't words, it's guns. They will blame everyone and everything except the gun manufacturers who they're beholden to. As I said, it's like the guy with emphysema being told you need to quit smoking, and the Republicans are saying, well, what about just Vapo Rub on my nose to make it easier to breathe? I don't want to quit smoking. Fox News host Brian Kilmeade from Fox and Friends apologized for making these comments about the homeless who refuse to get mental health treatment. I'm going to play this clip. I don't usually play a lot of clips, but this is a rare moment of candor. This is who Brian Kilmeade is, and this is what a lot of people think when they see the homeless. I'm going to play the clip. Keep in mind, there is no mental health treatment for the homeless. There isn't even mental health treatment in this country for people on Cadillac health insurance plans. You cannot find a psychologist or psychiatrist in your network. You got to go out of pocket to get mental health treatment. So the homeless are not getting mental health treatment. Nobody's offering mental health treatment. So here are Fox and Friends complaining about how just ugly and violent the homeless are, and it's their fault because they refuse to get help. Here they are.
Because you see the mental health crisis happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear while they figure out what's going on right there.
Right.
Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail, and you guys figure it out. But people having to duck and dive on the trains and the buses, walking through the street, this is one case, but this is happening all across the country, and it's not a money issue. They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population.
No.
A lot of them don't want to take the programs.
Not true.
A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
Why did it have to get to this point? Because you gave tax cuts to the rich and eviscerated our social safety net. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He apologized. Sure looked like he meant it when he said it. He didn't even say it was a joke. Just said it was callous. Yeah, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, just want to get rid of the homeless. Used to be, how do we solve the homeless problem? Now they say, how do we solve the homeless? Here's Don Jr. appealing to calm and reason after the killing of his good friend, Charlie Kirk.
Again, violence against Republicans. They don't talk about I can't frankly name a mass shooting in the last year or two in America that wasn't committed by, a transgender lunatic that's been pumped up on probably hormones since they were 3-year-olds because they want to normalize that. And if you say something about it, it's verboten because we're supposed to trust the science, even if it's not science and even if everyone understands it.
Unbelievable. He can't name a mass shooting in the past year that wasn't committed by a transgender person. Is the suspect in the Charlie Kirk shooting a member of the transgender community? Let me hear that again.
Again, violence against Republicans. They don't talk about I can't frankly name a mass shooting in the last year or two in America that wasn't committed by, a transgender lunatic that's been pumped up on probably hormones since they were 3-year-olds because they want to.
There has to be, I'm a free speech absolutist, but then when you correct Don Jr. and say, really? You can't name a shooter that wasn't transgender? How about the guy they just arrested don't believe he was a member of the transgender community. And then when you correct them, they go, cancel culture. Just because you're a liar and we're calling you on it, nobody's abridging your freedom of speech. Stephen Miller went on Sean Hannity's Fox News show to calm the waters.
Our universities, in many cases, have become incubators for extremism. They become the equivalent of madrasas for jihadism.
Yes, it's the universities that are responsible for the Kirk killing, not the guns. It's the colleges. Wasn't the shooter, the alleged shooter, attending a vocational school to learn to become an electrician? Is that what do you really think they're spewing leftist ideology at a vocational school? So the Reichstag fire, people like Stephen Miller are looking for a reason to pass the Enabling Act. He said on Hannity, quote, with God as my witness, I'm going to say it like this, hang on.
With God as my witness, we're going to use every resource we have at the
Department
of Homeland Security.
All right.
Let me get rid of that.
Hang on. I just don't want to, okay. This is what Stephen Miller said. With God as my witness, we're going to use every resource we have of the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks. What, Fox? Newsmax? Miller said, adding that I will do this in Charlie's name. What extremist networks are you talking about on the left? Stephen Miller. Rolling Stone magazine out with yet another scathing report about Stephen Miller and what it's like to work for him inside the White House. The report was so bad, that the story in Rolling Stone was so bad, the White House was forced to deny that Stephen Miller likes to play with porcelain dolls. He was infuriated. He forced the White House to deny that he plays with porcelain dolls. It was a rumor spread by disgruntled employees to belittle him. And apparently he freaked out. Someone would think he plays with porcelain dolls. According to the Rolling Stone story, Stephen Miller will often scream at White House employees until they break down and cry. How surprising. A former high school classmate, Jason Islis, told Rolling Stone that Stephen Miller ended their friendship due to Islis's Latin heritage. Odd. Self-professed Nazi Nick Fuentes was in panic mode once rumors began circulating that Kirk's shooter was a Groyper. Groypers are part of the Fuentes neo-Nazi movement. There was a little resentment and jealousy for Charlie Kirk on behalf of Nick Fuentes. He didn't approve of Charlie Kirk. He accused him of being too supportive of the Jews and Israel. And now Fuentes is claiming he is being framed for Kirk's shooting. An appeals court just ruled that Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook, a black woman fired by Donald Trump, can keep her job for the time being just before the Fed's big two-day meeting on whether to raise or lower interest rates. Trump said he fired her because she's guilty of mortgage fraud, but new reporting from Reuters now shows that when she prepared paperwork for her vacation home, which Trump claims was where the mortgage fraud was committed, Cook actually stated in her application, this is not my primary residence. So there doesn't seem to be any mortgage fraud. Ken Paxton is Texas's attorney general who is fighting to protect laws recently passed in that state that mandate prayer in school, as well as posting the 10 Commandments in every public classroom. He's a devout believer who's in a contentious divorce, and he's now accused of carrying on an affair with a married Christian influencer and mother of 7. Paxton, you might recall, was impeached 2 years ago in the Texas State Senate, but wasn't convicted. He was accused of convincing a wealthy donor to give his other mistress a job near the state capitol so Ken Paxton could be closer to his other mistress. Paxton's wife, Texas State Senator Angela Paxton, filed for divorce in July on what she called biblical grounds. What does the Bible have to do with it? Biblical grounds? Brianna Latipo is married to Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Latipo, who just announced he's going to end the vaccine mandates in Florida, calling vaccine mandates dripping with slavery. He says it's an issue of right and wrong, not data. Was on with Jake Tapper. He said, I don't need to know what the data tells me. Vaccines are just wrong. This is the Florida Surgeon General. It turns out Brianna, his wife, a Harvard graduate, is a major influence on her husband. She says he won't hire anyone until they've been thoroughly vetted by Brianna. She also reportedly edited a lot of his writing about vaccines, which she adamantly opposes. Brianna, according to The Guardian, bases her opinion on vaccines on visions and visits from angels and demons. She claims to have innate divine intelligence and that dark forces are targeting her family with chemtrails. Yeah. A Unite the Kingdom rally organized by far-right activist Tommy Robinson drew nearly 150,000 people into London over the weekend. There was fighting. 26 cops were injured. Jordan Peterson and Steve Bannon were scheduled to speak, but they failed to show up. Elon Musk addressed the crowd via a video link. He called for revolutionary government change in the United Kingdom and warned, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die, unquote. Well, seems to me if we're curbing incendiary speech on Twitter, we might want to start with Elon Musk.